Ladies and gentlemen, former WWE star. I'll let the music speak for itself. Former WWE star, ladies and gentlemen, the masterpiece, Chris Masters. What's going on tonight, Chris?
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing, Mr. Money?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I like that. You went with the first team, too. Let's keep it old school a little bit. I like it.
I'm afraid now that we've got two guests on the show tonight, I wasn't prepared for, but what I was going to introduce you as is the only guy that got fired on that black whatever day it was that I actually gave a shit about.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Personally, I'm the only one I gave a shit about, too, so.
I mean, that was the new. When I got that news, I thought, what a waste. First thing I thought was, what a waste. And the second thing I thought was probably what everybody thinks anymore when a WWE talent that has talent is let go is, okay, what could he do in TNA?
And it was shocking to me. I mean, I've told people before, a lot of people might think, oh, well, he wasn't in storylines, but, the thing is, anybody who's watched my work within the last years know that I was becoming one of the best in-ring guys in the company. And, the more I'm away from it and since the release and I reflect upon it, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, they invested in me since I was 19 years old. And, I was there off and on, obviously, for, a good 5-6 years. But, to not capitalize on that investment when I'm just reaching my peak now and, to let me go, it just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. It's like, if you're going to invest in me for that long, why are you going to cut me when I'm in the prime of my career? When I'm putting on the best matches, I was still, there wasn't, I had everything going for me at this point. And, not to mention I had matured a lot from my first run. And, I've been through everything I went through. So, it didn't make sense to me either. And, it still doesn't, just looking back at it. But what can you do?
Well, you are one of the few guys that actually, and my roommate used to get this way a lot about Kurt Angle. He hated Kurt Angle because during Kurt's WWE run, he was so good at making you hate him. And I used to say, it's just a character, guy. It's just a character. You are one of the few people that got to me. And it was because you were so good during the initial run with that Master Lock and the Master Lock Challenge. I wanted somebody to beat that so bad just to see what would happen should somebody beat it, Well,
congratulations
on that.
I appreciate you saying that. A lot of people are very critical of my first run, because I was very green. I'd only, I was called up on the road about 2 years in from my training in California. I had about a year out here and a year in Louisville. So, it was an overwhelming experience the first time out. And, I got a lot handed to me that I wasn't ready for, which, again goes back to my point of me saying, now at 28 years old, obviously I was ready for the challenge and, I would have been so much ready for that opportunity had it been presented.
JJ?
Well, now, you were somebody that, and Trey can back me on this, I have bitched incessantly over the last couple of years, especially this last year. Anytime you were on the TV and you were on Superstars jobbing to everybody, I was like, here's a guy who's got the perfect look, one of the best wrestlers in the company, and aside from the stupid, sideshow dancing pet gimmick that they gave you, you actually were having great matches and doing a very good job. And for them to kind of let you go, I was when the releases came out, I'm like, why does JTG have a job and Chris Masters does not?
Exactly. I was really curious when I got the phone call. Obviously I was shocked and overwhelmed, but I was really curious to see who else was being cut because I was aware from my phone call that I wasn't the only one. So I'm like, all right, well, let me see what happens here. And then when I saw the list and then I thought about who was left, I was like, what in the hell could have went on? Or they were like, let's get rid of him and keep, this guy, that guy, this guy. It's baffling. But, I appreciate what you're saying about the last year of work. I knew after a certain point, the second time I came around that it wasn't like the first time. Like, they didn't want to push me. They had no incentive to. So, I just got to the point where I took any little thing they gave me, and I'm like, let me make the most of this, whether it was two segments, on Superstars, or 4 minutes on SmackDown. And, I tried to get away from the pec dancing thing, too, just because I knew, it's like a stick. You don't want to, that's not going to necessarily help me move on. It was good for, the time it lasted, but I didn't want that. I didn't want that to overshadow my work, basically. So I was trying.
Typecasted.
Yeah, and you don't want to be just in a comedy role. I felt like I could do better, and I felt like, I had all the tools. So I'm like, let me go out here and reach for the brass ring. Let me do whatever I can for them not to be able to deny me. And I really felt like I was doing that until the releases. Then I was like, damn, but they can get you no matter what. It doesn't matter how hard you work, or it just doesn't matter.
Well, and no offense, don't take this the wrong way, but you never came across to me as a comedy guy anyway. I mean, you were an
I didn't feel like a comedy. I didn't feel like a comedy guy. I mean, I can be funny. I mean, if you guys saw the Summer Slam Invasion Masterpiece Theater, I mean, yeah, that's me. That's my personality. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I have some wit to me, but I don't take myself too serious. And it's just, I never really got a good platform to showcase any of that, and that's all real disappointing, because it's like, I really felt like, I had all the tools and could have really done something. So
now. Upon your initial return to the company, was there any plans? I mean, did they ever sit down and talk with you and say, we'd like to give you a push, we'd like to do something with you? At any point, did that ever happen, or was it just, go out there on Superstars and put JTG over? I mean...
Well, no, there was no incentive at first. You could tell after, like, the first year. But then, eventually, like you were saying, I mean, when I first got back in 2009, I was just kind of happy to be back type of deal. I was really grateful, and, I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen. Nobody sat down and talked to me or anything like that. But, I knew eventually, I'm like, man, you know what I mean? They don't have any plans for me. Like, I'm out for myself this time. That's it, because the first time they had pushed me right from the get-go. I had the vignettes, all that. So, it wasn't until, I started really developing over the last year that Hunter had pulled me aside in, like, January and told me that him and Vince had noticed, and, I was really getting really good, and he was just like, we're trying to figure out maybe something we can do for you, like a fresh coat of paint or repackaging or take you off TV for 3 months. So, I basically, in my mind, I was accomplishing my mission. I was like, all right, I'm on these guys' radar, and it's like, despite the fact that they had no plans for me or nothing, they didn't really want to do anything with me, like, here we go. I'm fighting for, everything I get. Let's do this. And, and then I'd hear other things from, other guys telling me about, Vince's reactions in Gorilla and how Vince would be all fired up. So, again, I mean, that's what leads to the release being surprising. I mean, you kind of plant those seeds in my head. I'm thinking, this is going to be my year. I mean, if I got Hunter on my side and the boss on my side, what more do you need?
Exactly. And, this is where I'm going to piss off the chat room that's listening to the show live. But, I don't know. I'm one of the few people that could care less about this Zack Ryder gimmick that he's got going on. I like the outside of the ring stuff that he does, but it doesn't make him one of my favorites. And the reason I bring this up is I would have loved to have seen you in a role where, while creative is trying to come up with something for you to do here at home in the ring, why couldn't they have sent you on a Master Lock challenge worldwide? Sent you out, putting the Master Lock on people in a Waffle House. Putting in somebody in the Walmart checkout line.
Well, let me answer you. To be honest, that's that was all Zack Ryder's doing. So I mean, if you want to point the finger at anybody point the finger at anybody, you got to point the finger at me, because I mean, I could have went out there and started Masterpiece Theater, I guess, before the release, or taken that kind of initiative. But again, like I said, I mean, maybe I had the wrong mindset. I was just, I had the mindset of let me let my work speak for itself. If I can't go out there and tear it up and have a a decent, if not great match every night, then I mean, what more do you want than that? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I figured that is all I would probably need. But Zack Ryder really took some initiative with that show, and probably kept his job too. So I mean, he was really onto something with that, and he's done really well with it.
Did you get the creative just doesn't have anything for you speech?
No, I mean, it's a company. I'm pretty sure they told every single person. This company restructuring is what I was told, and from what I understand, I mean, there's a lot of talent under contract. There's a ton of people in developmental, so I don't know if it's with the brands. I heard the brands are being brought together. I don't know if it's a bunch of guys in developmental. I don't know exactly what that means, but it still comes back to the fact to me. You can think about it like that, but it still doesn't justify some guys having their jobs and me not. So that's the only way I can look at it at the end of the day.
For those of you just joining us, we are talking to the masterpiece himself, Chris Masters, who was, I say unfortunately, let go on whatever day that was. They called it once before Black Friday, I believe, when they had a lot of people released. What day was it that it fell on for you?
It was a tragedy. It was a tragedy of epic proportions.
So
it just goes down as one of those days. It's just one of those days that everybody will remember. It's like shit.
One of those days, like Limp Bizkit said, one of those days you just don't want to wake up, something like that.
Yeah, everything is fucked. Everybody, can I say that? Yeah, I'm sorry.
You can.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say.
I know that song. Any Limp Bizkit song, you're telling me what's done is done. You just leave it alone and don't regret it. That's another good one.
Yeah, a lot of people make fun of Limp Bizkit, but he was a prophet for his time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did a lot of stupid things, obviously, but I was digging some of their music, and I even got the last album. So I mean, I'm still digging Limp Bizkit. I mean, he serves his purpose, man. He fires you up.
So now you've been let go. What are you doing now, and what do you plan to do in the future that you can at least let us in on?
Well, the thing that's different this time from the previous time being released is, I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to leave anything off the table, really, this time. Like, the last time I knew that I was responsible, I had really dropped the ball and messed up. So I think in the back of my mind, I always kind of felt like I wanted to go back to WWE eventually and make things right, and, it's because it's what I always wanted to do. With this time, it's, obviously I'm a little more jaded just because I worked as hard as I did and felt like, in the end, you just can't help but feel almost kind of betrayed when you work so hard for a company and, you show up every day ready to go on time and, you just really give yourself physically, emotionally, just every part of you to it. So, I mean, that just makes it this time I'm just much more open-minded towards what I can experience, whether it be in wrestling and sports entertainment or not. But, I'll say that I definitely have a passion and a love for doing this and performing in front of crowds and, doing what we do more than anything. So as long as I can continue to make a living doing that, I'm going to do it. But, I just figure you might as well, I live in LA, might as well get an agent. I used to do that when I was a kid anyway. So, that's something good to have on the table. But, Japan, TNA, all of those are stuff that I'm kind of looking at a little more closely now, just in terms of, what kind of opportunities they can present. But, I just think I'm 28 years old. I'm in the peak of my career. So, I mean, I don't want to give it up. And, I love doing it. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm already booked for a lot of international stuff going forward. I'm going to be going to Mexico in November. I came back from Portugal a couple of weeks ago. So, I'm going to be doing my thing. That's for sure.
So is this a deal where the door's still open for you to return?
Well, I would never say never. I mean, I don't want to gear my life towards that now. I mean, that's always been the goal. So, I mean, it's kind of weird drifting off into the unknown and trying to look at what else can really inspire you and motivate you. But I never say never. I mean, again, like I said, I'm 28. I'm still young. I started so young in this business. And, again, I mean, I think we didn't leave on bad terms. I mean, I think if anybody should be upset, it should be me. But, I mean, like I said, I think the option could be there. You never know. You know what I mean? Like, I could be away from that place for 3 years and pop up and bam, you never know. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm not going to gear my life towards that or, I'm not going to let that be the brass ring for me personally anymore.
Good for you.
Now, I don't remember the exact date, but the first time that I ever saw you, this was before your WWE debut, was back at, I believe it was a Raw show back in 2005 in January. In fact, I remember the Raw. It's the one where...
Oh, I'm sorry. It must have been terrible, right? What was it? Tell me what I did.
Oh, God. I don't remember who you wrestled, to be honest, but I remember seeing you. It was the show... Right. You were in the dark match. It was the show where Batista had taken on the two guys from La Resistance and stuck the flag in one of them's ass.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So I remember seeing you, I thought, man, this guy is jacked. I mean, because we'd heard about, you were going to be debuting soon, and it was my first opportunity to get to see you live. And I was impressed. I mean, as far as the match goes, I don't remember too much about the match, but I remember looking at this and I'm like, this guy.
That's the funny part. Yeah, but I was probably, I don't know, I probably weighed about 275 at that point. Yeah. I was pretty lean. So, I mean, yeah, that was my biggest. I mean, I don't watch a lot of my old stuff, but when I see it, I'm really just kind of like blown away. I'm like, wow, I was big. Holy. And, you know, I don't know. It's funny because I don't even actually aspire to look like that now. I mean, I still feel like I'm obviously a big guy, but, you know, just looking at me, you know, I mean, I look like a freaking, like a gorilla.
You look like you just stepped out of the WBF.
That's huge.
Oh, yeah, you look like you stepped out of the WBF.
Yeah.
No, but like I said, that was the first opportunity I got to see of you, and I thought, man, this is a guy that if brought in the right way, they could really do something with him. And I remember even going back to Trey and I's first interactions in 2005, getting together and doing radio shows, that we actually covered, I believe it was Survivor Series 2005. And we remember talking about you should be the guy running around the company at that point as the Intercontinental Champion, but instead, I guess at that time it was Ric Flair. And we're thinking, why is this guy not the standard?
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, Ric Flair is Ric Flair. I mean, I guess it's kind of funny to attach Ric Flair's name to the Intercontinental title when you think about it, just because he's Ric Flair. But, I mean, I was slated to win the IC belt at one point, but it just didn't happen because of my personal issues. You know, I was battling addiction in my first run, and, you know, I remember the day that I was supposed to win it, and they unfortunately took that away because of my decision. So, I mean, you know, you can look back and live in regrets. I mean, I wish I obviously would have had that shot. I wish Carly and me would have won the tag belts like we were supposed to at Mania. But, you know, there's you can't change the past. And just like we said earlier, like Limp said, what's done is done. You just leave it alone. Right?
Absolutely. Now, really quickly, in your initial run, you had an opportunity also to work with Shawn Michaels. Was that a fond experience for you? Did you learn anything from Shawn, or you know, was it kind of a rookie veteran, you know, kind of initiation kind of thing?
No, I mean, it was awesome because Shawn was like my hero, basically, growing up. I mean, ever since, you know, I watched him in the Rockers, and then once he turned heel and the Ultimate Warrior left for the 5th time, I was just like, I noticed, I was like, man, this guy is freaking really good. And, you know, he turns it on in there, unlike a lot of, or any of the guys I had, you know, gotten used to watching, like the Hulk Hogans and the Warriors and all that. So I really started appreciating that, and, you know, I just followed his whole career. So then, you know, you fast forward to me working him, it was just unbelievable. I'm like, this to me is like the opportunity of a lifetime. This is like winning the world title, basically, you know, already for me. When, you know, wrestling him, that's basically almost what that meant to me. And, it was cool because after I initially worked him and he got I gained his trust and he realized I wasn't going to kill him, he would let me call all our house show matches from that point on. Like, basically, we'd have a finish already laid out, but, I mean, I'd go out there and basically dictate the whole match. You know, I'd always run stuff by him in the ring, but I'd always kind of lay it out in a question form because, you know, I couldn't see myself telling the great HBK to do this or do that. But, I mean, it was such a great experience because, I mean, when you're able to go out there and work with the best probably ever in the business, and you know that firsthand just because you grew up, you know, watching all this stuff. I mean, it really is good for your confidence. I mean, you know, it's just like I was calling the matches. He was good with them. He was happy with what I was calling, and we were having good matches. And, you know, it was easier to work him just because of obviously everything already. You know what he does. You know when it's coming. I mean, and you probably get that much more fired up for that HBK comeback too and all that. And, you know, it was a great experience all around. I mean, it wasn't, a lot of it was just the house shows. Us just traveling around. I mean, you got to see the stuff on TV in the pay-per-view match, which all turned out great. But, I mean, working him in Europe, Australia, all over the world, I mean, you know, you just can't take away some of those experiences.
Now, there was some debate, speaking of the Shawn Michaels run, there was some debate between me and one of my co-hosts at the time. Now, people say that Bobby Lashley was the first to break the master lock. But if I remember correctly, Shawn actually broke it.
Well, I don't think they ruled that to break because of the nut shot. So, I mean, officially, the first guy to really break it is Bobby. I mean, that's where the hype was, and
right.
I don't know if they were just trying to protect it, but if you watch that Master Lock challenge, I mean, he gave me a low blow and he started to break it, and then I just threw him down, and I don't know, they just kind of ruled it unbroken still.
So tell people where they can find you on the internet right now.
All right, well, you can follow me on Twitter at WWE Master P, and I know that needs to be changed. Thank you. And let's see, what else do we have? Oh, for booking interviews, you can contact my booking manager, Vess, at masterpiece83@gmail.com. And Masterpiece Theater should be coming up soon. I'm just compiling footage right now, so look for that. That should be hot.
Could you use Chris Masters and the Masterpiece outside of the company?
Oh, no, that's WWE property right there. I might just have to be the master from this point forward, I guess, or something like that.
Okay, I was just saying. I'd like
or maybe just Masters. I always liked just Masters. That was always strong.
So what are you going to call the Master? What are we going to call the Master Lock? Because you got to stay with that. I mean, that's a...
I don't know, man. I'll keep it old. Just a swinging full Nelson, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Full Nelson works, man. I like that idea. Now, I've got a quick question coming out of chat. Somebody was asking me in this initial or this last run you had with the WWE. Who did you enjoy working more with, Jack Swagger or Tyler Rex?
I only had a million matches with both of them. I really enjoyed both of them. I think Swagger was a little more of a task initially, but I don't know, Swagger was really progressed a lot. And it's not to say that I'm light years above him and can judge him or anything, but I just felt a difference each month in Swagger, and it got easier and it flowed, and he's got a lot of good athletic gifts. But I don't know, it's just so different. I worked Swagger probably about 150 times, and I worked probably Rex maybe 30 times, but we had 5 TV matches on Superstars that were really good, and they kind of stand out to me because it was 4 weeks in a row that we worked each other, and nobody even told us we were going to work each other. So the challenge is when you're doing that is to make every match interesting and different, and just how can you keep it interesting? Because obviously you want to progress, and then the story progressed great too, because eventually fourth and last match we had in that series was a 2-segment 15-minute match where we really just threw down. So I like working both of them. I'm closer to Rex personally, but Swagger was a cool dude too. So I liked both of them. I think Drew Mac probably is my favorite opponent. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler though were my top 2 guys kind of wanting to work something with within the last year. So,
well, it's kind of like Tyson Kidd working Trent Beretta, 150 times this year already. I think every time I see that guy, he's working Trent Beretta. So.
Oh yeah, well, I heard they had a really, really good match, and I guess sometimes WWE just likes to pound that into the ground. So. Yeah,
that's true. It does seem that way.
We got an idea for you for your Master Lock. Just rename it the Masters Lock. From Maze in the chat room, he says the Masters Lock. Just add the S.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you could even make it 2 separate words, and it's nothing like the Master Lock. Tell him thank you for the idea.
There you go. So Maze
noted.
Maze hits the home run there.
Well, if somebody listening is probably trademarking it right now as we speak already.
Probably.
Yeah, all right, I'll sell it to you, $10,000.
Autograph session at my house for my cousin's birthday party.
Oh my God! No.
Great booking.
So when you took a little break last time, you popped up a little bit on RVD TV. Anything else outside of wrestling that you might have going on right now?
Well, I spent some time with RVD a couple days ago, which was kind of cool. We talked about our RVD TV sessions. Those were a lot of fun. But like I said, just Masterpiece Theater. I'm just bringing the camera for all my bookings outside of WWE because I think everybody out there is kind of interested to see the world of which, beyond the arenas, the travel and the different cast of characters, the backstage interaction. And, that's what I'm basically going to try to get as much stuff as I feel like the real wrestling fans are kind of interested in and put out that kind of material just because, and You know, so I mean that's kind of what I'm focusing on in the middle of my 90 days of doing nothing between WWE and whatever else.
I tell you, two guys that's really worked for recently, and you've probably even noticed this. They were kind of out of the name, out of the spotlight for a while, but now people talking about them a lot. And that's the New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. And they're
really, I didn't know they're doing that. They're doing a show.
Well, they're doing a similar thing where they record themselves going to events, and then They recorded some stuff going over matches backstage, and they've recorded some different, comedy skits of them on the way to the airport, and just different little things. But they're funny as hell. And those are two funny guys.
And that's the stuff people won't see. So I mean, they're probably having a blast doing that. So I mean, that's basically exactly what I was thinking too. Just bring the camera. Although I wasn't necessarily thinking I'd expose the business and go over the matches, but that's a great idea. That's cool.
I mean, that's definitely something that the fans don't get to see that we all want to see. I guess what happened that day? What happened that day on the way to the airport? What happened that day when you went from here to here, and just the personal life stuff is what people. It's sad to say, but they're as interested in that as they are the matches these days.
Well, that's because that's what you don't get access to too. So I mean, I brought the camera to Portugal, and I got like 3 weekends coming up here with different events and whatnot. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm compiling. I'm gonna get all that footage and then have it edited, and bam, Masterpiece Theater's out.
As long as you keep the Masters on the toilet, we're okay. I mean, don't pull the Hogan shit. So
don't pull a Hogan on it.
Yeah, no, we don't need to do that. We're not going there.
Oh man, I want to thank you for joining the show. But before we let you go, can I get you to drop a liner for the show?
Sure. What am I saying? I heard the Mickey James one.
Basically, just whatever you want to put in there. But this is Chris Masters. You're listening to Wrestling News Live on the SNS Radio Network.
And if
SNS Radio Network?
Yeah.
If you have to write it down, go ahead. Most of them do.
Yeah, I might want to do that just for the...
Getting Kevin Nash to do this after a couple bottles of wine was interesting.
Oh, yeah, you know what? And I've hung out with him, too, so I definitely know that he had some trouble, I'm sure. Wrestling, what is it?
Wrestling News Live.
Wrestling News Live.
On the SNS Radio Network.
All right, I got it. All right, this is the Master, Chris Masters, and you're listening to Wrestling News Live on the SNS Radio Network.